Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. We continue to take a look at the candidates as early voting continues today. In studio with me right now, candidate for Lubbock County Judge, Curtis Parrish. Welcome back to the show.
It's good to be back. Good morning, and good morning, Jody. How you doing? Yeah, good to see you. Yeah, it's good to be here, Chad. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, appreciate you going out to the debate earlier this week. Seems like it was last week for some reason, but it's been a long week. It's only Wednesday.
Yeah, it has been a long week. It's been a long campaign. You know, we were talking about we started putting signs out at 90 days. So we've been really campaigning hard, knocking door to door, doing those things for the past 3 months. Yeah. So, of course, preparing, this has been for me, this Lubbock County Judge campaign has been almost, I would say, intently a 2-year project. And we've been intently running for and preparing to run for Lubbock County Judge for 2 years. Of course, I've been preparing for this job my entire career. And so, now that we're, early voting has started, it's almost surreal, but it has been such a great journey. Just being able to talk to people, being able to share my vision and what I see as the Lubbock County Judge seat going into the next decade.
What is it that draws you to this position? Because you said you've been getting ready to run and you've been looking at this, so there's been a lot of planning and a lot of looking into this position. What is it about Lubbock County Judge why do you want to be Lubbock County Judge?
Yeah, I'm excited about county government. And I believe county government is one of the best forms of government that we have out there. It is truly, to me, it fulfills the mandate of the preamble to the Constitution. If you think about the preamble to the Constitution, which is to establish justice. And this is what we do at Lubbock County. We are the seat of justice, to promote the general welfare, to preserve the blessings of liberty to ourselves and those who come after us, to provide for the common defense. These are embodied into the preamble of the Constitution, and it is the county government that fulfills that. And so I'm excited about county government. I first got excited about the county government and county government when I was working at a TV station here in Lubbock. Where I was in Lubbock Media, assistant news director, chief photographer for 16 years. And it was a great time because I got to know some great people here in town, like Judge Rod Shaw. Judge Rod Shaw was a short man, but he was a giant. And he became one of my mentors and really learned a lot from him, learned a lot about the job of county judge and how county judge operates within the county. And then after I left news media, I went to work for Senator Robert Duncan. And through that, I got to work with county governments all over West Texas in the 28th Senatorial District. And so really got to really get in, kind of down and dirty with county government, finding out how it works, how it functions, how county government deals with people. And then as an attorney, I've been able to practice in that very area of law that the county judge oversees, which is probates and guardianships and mental health cases. This is my primary area of practice. And so when I say I've prepared my entire career for this job, it is absolutely true. This is not a job that I'm using as a stepping stone to something else. To me, this is the epitome of public service in my heart, is to be the next Lubbock County Judge.
I know during the debate, at the end of the debate, you said you were a little bit disappointed that I didn't ask enough judicial questions.
Well, you didn't ask any judicial questions. Well, just so you know,
I think we got into it a little bit because
we did.
It was the longest part of the debate was whether or not this needs to be a position that an attorney needs to have because, your two opponents say you don't need to be an attorney to be Lubbock County Judge. And y'all were debating this. Y'all got into this for a while. So let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. If one of your other opponents were elected, would Lubbock County be at a disadvantage?
Yes, definitely.
Why is that?
Well, because both of my opponents have said that they are going to take the job, the judicial part, and pass it off to somebody else.
Is that not happening now?
No. No, Judge Tom Head hears about 30 to 40 probate cases a week, does about 5 or 6 guardianship cases a month, does 8 to 10 mental health cases per week as well, and that's 75% of his job.
But he's not an attorney.
He is not, and but what he has is the experience. He has 20 years of experience as county judge, plus 8 years prior to that as justice of the peace. He has the judicial experience to handle the job. My opponents have neither the legal experience nor the judicial experience to handle the job of Lubbock County judge. And so the way they're going to handle it is to send it off to somebody else, send it off to courts that are already full. Their dockets are already full, and now you're going to add more of a burden. So your question was, would this cause a burden? Would it cause a problem for Lubbock taxpayers? And the answer is yes. It is not fiscally conservative to say that I want a job that I'll only do 25% of, and the other 75% I'll pawn off to somebody else, because it's going to cost Lubbock taxpayers dollars to cover the job that you're supposed to do as county judge.
Now, one of your opponents says that's already going on, that there are one or two staff attorneys that's in that office of Lubbock County Judge, correct?
Okay, all judges have staff. All judges have court coordinators. But the job is to conduct the hearings and make the rulings. Sure. A staff attorney can't do that. In fact, that's judicial negligence to pawn that off to a staff attorney. But
from, and maybe I'm wrong here, but from what at least one of your opponents say is that if you're not an attorney, and as the current county judge is not an attorney, that he gets, I guess, advice or hears from those, two staffers that are in the office to help him out with those cases, and they would do the same thing. If you're in there as an attorney, you know the law, you've done this stuff before, would those two positions still be in the office?
Well, understand what these two positions are. One is a court coordinator, which is not an attorney position. A court coordinator just coordinates the schedule, the docket. All courts have those. I mean, to say, well, you don't need a court coordinator is just it's ridiculous. Every single court has a court coordinator. And the other position that I know that Councilman Bourne is talking about is a court investigator, and this is a position to go out and investigate each and every one of these guardianship cases, specifically guardianship cases, to make sure that the ward is being properly cared for, to make sure that the estate of the ward is being properly cared for. This is a court investigator position. So although it is an attorney position, it's not a judicial position. This is a position that is created to make sure that our guardianships are being well taken care of. So to couch it as, well, you don't, the judge doesn't need to be an attorney because you've got an attorney. Well, that attorney's job is to investigate guardianships. That's not the judicial job. The judicial job is to hear all of the probate cases, all of the guardianship cases, and all of the mental health cases, and rule on those. And one more little factor to that, and I don't know if you realize this, but any cases like we're talking about, probates and guardianship cases, you must be represented by an attorney. So the judge actually hears from attorneys. You can't pro se this. You can't go in and represent yourself in this court. It's one of the only courts that you can't do. Only attorneys can hear cases before the Lubbock County Judge. And I don't know if you realize that or not, but I hope that gives you an insight on how important that this job is, and that the body of law of guardianships has changed so dramatically just in guardianships over the last few years. 19 new guardianship laws have been added to the law since just last year. And some of them very complicated.
Let me ask you this, because you just mentioned, and you also in your ad, you talked about all guardianships, all mental health cases,
all probates.
And all probates.
That's right.
Go through the county judge.
It's the court of jurisdiction for all of those cases.
Now, I had Judge Philip Hayes on the show yesterday, and he said that only uncontested cases go through the county judge. The contested cases go to the court at law. Is that wrong?
Well, that is because Judge Tom Head doesn't feel like he has the skills and the training to be able to hear those contested. But the law says.
So you would change how all of this is done currently?
Well, what I would do is the only cases I would recuse myself of are the ones that I have a close relationship with, whether it be a former client or a family member. And all judges are like that. I mean, all judges kind of have that same requirement to them. They must recuse themselves. And when they do recuse themselves of a case, has to be another court that be able to handle that. You don't want to do that on a permanent basis. You don't want to recuse yourself of every single case and just pawn that off to another judge, because that will overload that judge's court. So I'm the only candidate that's not only educated and experienced, but willing to do the job of Lubbock County Judge.
All right. Well, I want to get more into this and also some other legal issues, and then we can get into some of the other issues facing this race as well. But we got to take a break. When we come back, more with Curtis Parrish, candidate for Lubbock County Judge. We'll be right back. Chad Hasty Show, KFYO. Curtis Parrish in studio, candidate for Lubbock County Judge.
Good morning.
And again, thank
encourage
you for
people to
in.
vote.
Yeah.
Early voting starts today. It started yesterday.
Continues on today. A cold 20-degree day.
As well it should be.
All right, let's...
as long as we get the rain and moisture or whatever that comes with it.
Let's talk about this a little bit more, about the role of Lubbock County Judge.
Yes.
Because what it sounds like to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, what it sounds like to me is that, and I'm not trying to disparage anybody here, that Judge Tom Head has not fully embraced what it is to be Lubbock County Judge, and that you would change what we know as Lubbock County Judge, or at least what we have seen with Judge Tom Head.
Judge Head right now spends 75% of his time on judicial matters.
He does.
75% of the job, 75% of his time is spent hearing probates, guardianships, mental health cases, and 25% of the job is the administrative role of the Lubbock County Judge. It's a very limited role in administrative, but it's a very important part. And this important part actually, you provide leadership to the court. You are the presiding officer of the Commissioner's Court. But the commissioners, the 4 commissioners, are the managers of Lubbock County. They manage the business of the county, and then the county judge provides leadership and vision to those managers. In a lot of ways, if you think about how the city is run, of course, my 2 opponents are city trained. There is a city manager. The city manager runs the city. And then the council, the mayor and the council, provide leadership and vision to that city manager. And it's much the same way at the county level. The county judge provides leadership and vision to the city council, and leadership and vision to the county commissioners, and the county commissioners then operate and run the city. Those jobs are very separated and defined in the law, and so then that lets the county judge then handle the probates, guardianships, and mental health cases. Lubbock County is a growing county. We know that. And it has grown substantially in the last 20 years. So this body of law has also grown substantially as well.
Let's go to the phones. Have a couple of listeners who have a question. And Dolores, you're on with Curtis Parrish.
Good morning, Dolores.
Good morning. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I had heard that Judge Head was not an attorney. Is that the case?
That is correct. He was elected 20 years ago, and he was actually a justice of the peace prior to being elected as county judge. And then prior to that, he was a police officer and has served Lubbock County very honorably and admirably.
Okay. That I wasn't sure about, but thank you for clarifying. Something I am sure about is my personal experience going through the guardianship process 5 years ago and then having to do the annual update.
Yes.
I have dealt with numerous people in his office as well as Judge Head. He has done amazing things in streamlining, organizing, writing policy that has been very beneficial to our family. The staff that he has at this point that truly handle most of the day-to-day are excellent. And I'm just not seeing where an attorney brand new to the process is necessary. I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, and thank you so much for your question. First of all, I'm not brand new to the process. I am a probate and guardianship attorney, and I've practiced in Judge Head's court. That is my area of practice. And so I do understand that. But I also understand that this area of guardianship specifically, and as you pointed out, it's not just a one-time ruling by the judge. You have to go back. Guardians have to go back to the court every single year. To make sure they bring in the papers, their inventory, and their update on the guardian or on the ward every single year. So it's not just a one-time ruling. This is something that has to go on every year, and even in a dependent administration for probates. If the administrator wants to sell property or whatever, they have to come back to the court and get the judge's permission. The judge has to sign off on any property that's sold in a dependent administration. And this area of law has gotten extremely complicated, and not just because we're a growing county, but Austin has added so many brand new laws to both our probate process and our guardianship process. It has gotten so complicated that we do need somebody who's experienced in probates and guardianships shepherding these cases.
Oh, I want to get into, we only have a couple of minutes left. One of the other contentious issues from Monday between you and your opponents was about Woodrow Road and about using bonds to pay for Woodrow Road. You were against it. You said, no, we need to do pay as you go. Your opponents, and one in particular, said, no, it has to be done right now. We have to use bond money to fix Woodrow.
But doesn't want to raise taxes. So that's probably counterintuitive, because in order to sell bonds, you go to the people and you say, we want to have a bond election, and we want you to approve X amount of dollars, $30 million for us to sell bonds. And this will raise your taxes X amount of cents per 100 evaluation. That's the whole point of a bond election. And so on one hand, my opponent says, no, I'm not going to raise taxes and we're not going to do any of that, but I'm going to come back and we're going to do bonds. To me, that's kind of hypocritical.
So how do we get Woodrow Road? Because we've both been in media.
Yep.
We've been talking about Woodrow Road forever.
It
seems. So how do you fix it?
We fix it the way we fixed West 82nd Street. If you remember back in the 90s, 82nd Street was in that same boat. 82nd Street was a 2-lane road. Wolforth was growing. There was a lot of traffic from Frankfort to what's now the Marcia Sharp Freeway. There wasn't an overpass there. Kids were having to try to cross the Brownfield Highway to get to school. We had lots of accidents. The road was deteriorating. The growth was happening out there. And the school board, the county, the city, and the state government, we all got together. We all came together. And when I say we, I was working for Senator Robert Duncan at the time, and we brought a coalition together to make sure that funding got together. We did it without selling bonds and raising taxes, and we made that road safe and secure for all of us in Lubbock County.
Curtis Parrish, appreciate your time today, and I'm sure we'll visit again before Election Day.
Yes, we will. Thank you so much, Chad. And I want to encourage people, get out and vote. It's your constitutional right.